disabled relatives. For many, it can be easy to feel isolated, and now leading doctors are calling for carers to be routinely screened for depression.
Will it help carers get the support they need? Well, joining us from London is Dawn Perry, who's a carer for her mother. Here in the studio is Lindsay Cree from Rethink Manchester Carers in Action. I know you're both carers. Thanks very much for joining us. First of all, to you, Dawn, you've been looking after your mum. How does it affect you having to look after her?
Well, it's kind of quite stressful, really, because obviously my mum's been ill for quite some time, and it is quite an isolated situation being a carer, and obviously with having my own mental health difficulties, it is very challenging at times.
Dawn, did you get any help? Have you received help, and how did that happen?
A lot of the help and support that I've actually received has been from my own kind of motivation to do it. A lot of it was not kind of directed to me and giving me directions for different places. A lot of it was my own kind of search for help. There isn't enough kind of support out there for people to be directed to what's available. People that actually know what's available as a carer.
It's interesting, isn't it, Lindsay? Because what the GPs are saying, the Royal College of GPs, is that their carers, like you two both, should be routinely screened during consultations with their doctor. Is that something that you think should happen, and are there the resources for that to happen, in your opinion?
Yes, that should happen, because carers are often don't come forward to say how they're feeling, because they're too busy caring for the loved one. So I think screening for depression, regular screening, is really important. And also for doctors to, how doctors can help support carers is by actually explaining how the care system works.
What's your own experience? Your son suffers from schizophrenia,
yes.
And he's 22 now. So
yes,
as he was growing up, what was your own experience?
My own experience of well, first of all, I went to see my GP, and really there wasn't a lot of information then about severe mental illness. So I had to learn what this illness was before I could really help my son. And I think recently, certainly the past few years, there's been a lot more information out there. Support groups are a vital source for many carers, because we share that kind of information, how to help our loved ones.
Much of this is about how doctors help you as a carer. So the one issue is, how you're helping your loved one. Yeah. The other is how you are. Now, when you went to see your GP, were they asking questions about your own health? Were they helping you in your efforts to keep yourself well?
Not at the time, no. That was about 6 years ago. Hopefully things have improved now. My son's been in hospital a long time. So I haven't had to go to see my GP personally, but the Rethink Carers group that I'm chair of, and carers and service users come to the group, often complain that they're not heard, they're not being listened to, and they don't really know how to say, I'm not feeling very well at the moment, because they're too wrapped up in loved one's care.
Dawn, let's talk about you mentioned, didn't you, when we talked to you earlier about your own mental health issues. Were you able to talk to your GP about those? Did you feel able to do that, and were you given any help?
I have been supported by my GP. He was very keen for me to get talking therapy and not kind of just give me a prescription and medication. And so I have been quite fortunate with that aspect of things. I think a lot of people with depression, they do kind of have difficulty getting the support from the GP that they need. But it's not been recognised from the GP that I'm actually a carer as well, and there's never that kind of discussion, it's never kind of picked up on, and I think there needs to be a lot more follow-ups for carers as well, so you're not just kind of left to kind of do it, and that there's like a regular kind of, which you mentioned before, like screening, where people are kept in touch with health professionals just to see how we're doing.
How did, Dawn, in your case, how did it manifest itself? The depression, was it over a long period of time? Did you recognise it in yourself, the damage it was doing to you, and you weren't getting help?
You don't actually recognise it. It just kind of happens gradually. You have different life experiences, and you're constantly looking after the person that you're caring for, and like Lindsay was saying, you just kind of put yourself to one side, and you just kind of can't constantly get on with it, and you neglect your own needs.
Interesting to pick up on one of the points you said earlier as well, Lindsay. You said, go to your GP because you didn't know how the care system worked, for example. But, is that a GP's job, do you think, to be helping you with that?
Well, he works in the care system now. She works in the care system. So how does that work?
you think they would have the answer to that?
Well, I think that if they have the information about all the charities out there that run support groups, because that's where we get our source of support.
And there'll be a lot of people watching this programme who are caring for someone, and it's taking a toll on them one way or another. What do you say to them about who they talk to and how they first, if you like, say it out loud, that, you know, I'm struggling and I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your advice?
Well, I would try and access a care group. If you just Google care groups UK, it will bring up a myriad of groups that can access.
And Dawn,
just a quick phone call.
Your advice to people who are in similar situations, perhaps yours, what should they do?
There is lots of help out there, especially in the voluntary third sector. I'm a mental health campaigner as well, and we do a lot of work on Facebook and a lot of online resources out there to help people. And also with the stigma that's attached to mental health, that's also another issue. And not only are you actually a carer, but if you have a mental health problem, you don't feel like you can talk about it, and you should be able to talk about it, because obviously it's just normal to have depression or anxiety. It's kind of life experience, and people should feel confident to get help. Oh, thank you very much.
Dawn, thank you, and Lizzie, thank you both for sharing your experiences with us today.
It's